to 20 minutes, which I don't think is a burdensome requirement for the course. So do you have questions before we move on? I know we've been going about 45 minutes. We'll probably take a break about between 10:30 and 10:45, just to kind of let you stretch your legs or whatever. So I want to kind of do the introduction to Module 1, which again is Module 1 is called the Basics of Statistics. Most people become familiar with probability and statistics through various media. You cannot hardly turn on the TV, the radio, look at a newspaper, even the internet. Even if you're looking at social media, you'll get pop-ups and things through the media related to probability and statistics. For example, the cost of raising a child from birth to age 17 is $233,610, not including college expenses. Americans own 42% of the guns in the world. There are 2.3 million Google searches per second. Motorists spend on average 17 hours per year searching for a parking space. Almost 80% of the time spent on social media platforms happens on a mobile device. And the median age of a person living in Georgia is 35.5 years, which was based on the 2010 census. So you really cannot go through life without being inundated with statistics. Statistics is used in almost every field of human endeavor, in almost every field of study, every major, every pathway, in some way uses statistics. For example, obviously in sports, we keep up with all sorts of records. We keep up with the number of yards a running back gains during the football game, the number of hits a baseball player gets in a season, how many wins, how many losses. We keep up with all sorts of records related to sports. Education. We might want to know if one teaching method is better than another teaching method. We may want to look at grades and how grades change from semester to semester. We can monitor that for the whole class, for a particular student. Criminal justice. A researcher uses a statistical model to predict increased risk of crime. Public health. An administrator might be concerned with the number of residents who contract a new strain of the flu virus. Quality control. A manager needs to determine if the bottle filling machine at the Pepsi plant or the Coca-Cola plant is working properly. Media or communications. A weather person predicts the chance of precipitation on any particular day. You know, there's the old adage or the joke that the weather person is the only one that can be wrong and still keep their job. So again, you can see there is statistics used in almost every field. And so I hope throughout the semester, as we're looking at various examples, we'll touch on perhaps your area of study, whether that's psychology or education, health professions, business, and you can actually see where you can use statistics. So, you know, a lot of students always say, well, why do I have to take this class? Or when am I ever going to use this? Well, there are basically three reasons why we should study statistics other than the fact that perhaps you need it in order to earn your degree. We should study statistics so we're able to read and understand various statistical studies performed in your fields. A lot of times, especially in fields like education, psychology, perhaps even criminal justice, they want you to be what they call, quote, current, and keep up with what's going on in that particular field. And so that requires that you read research that other folks have done. And so you need a basic knowledge of the vocabulary, the symbols, the concepts, and the statistical procedures that perhaps that researcher has used so that you can be the judge of whether you think their research is quality, whether it is valid, or whether they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Also, it may be in a particular field that you may need to conduct your own research. Again, in education, if you want to see if one teaching method is better than another, you need to be able to know how to set up your research from beginning to end so that your end product is valid, is of good quality, so that you can then share that information. So you need to be able to design an experiment from the beginning of posing the question, collecting your data, analyzing and summarizing the data properly. And you're going to be able to learn the very basics of those things in this course. It also helps you as an individual just to become a better consumer and a better citizen so that you can look at information that's being provided through the media and then make a decision about whether you trust that information or you don't trust that information, whether you believe it, you don't believe it. And that again is going to help you be a better consumer and ultimately a better citizen. So I mentioned earlier, but for a lot of students, this is going to be your first true encounter with statistics. Again, statistics in this format, the way this course is structured, is not typically taught in a high school setting or middle school setting. You may have touched on some of the various topics in previous math courses, but again, it is in this the way this one is structured, it is probably kind of a new concept to you. And at least initially, statistics can be almost like learning a new language because statistics uses its own unique set of vocabulary and its own set of concepts that are unique to the field. And so you need to kind of understand those things. You've got to be able to know what it means when I say, what is the population? What is the variable? What is the parameter? And so that's really where we have to begin, is learning the language of statistics. And so the first few lessons that we look at in this course is going to help you do that. Honestly, the first few lessons is a lot of vocabulary and a lot of concepts that are unique to statistics. So we'll begin with lesson 1, which is going to give us kind of the broad strokes for the statistics vocabulary. We will look at the types of data. We will look at the vocabulary that is unique to the actual statistical research, as well as to sampling techniques. And so that's kind of the overview. And then towards the end of module 1, we do actually get to begin working with some data, and we focus on first on what we call qualitative or categorical data. And then as we move into module 2, we'll get more into the quantitative or numerical data. Any questions? Again, you can interrupt me, you can chat if you need to. If we're going to talk about statistics for the next 8 weeks, one of the places we have to begin is, what is statistics? What in the world is statistics? And so that's where I want to begin, is with the definition of statistics. And if you were to look it up in the dictionary, you'd find there are actually 2 definitions. And it really depends upon how you view the word. Do we view the word singular, or do we view the word as plural with the S on the end? So if we think of statistics, similar to the way that we think of mathematics, it's the overarching theme, it's the overarching name of the course, so that it's a group, but it's considered one single unit. We say statistics is the science of gathering, describing, and analyzing data. It's the whole process from beginning to end of how do we go about gathering, describing, and analyzing the data to help us make a decision. Again, it's like the big umbrella. Even though it's plural, statistics is considered a unit or a group. The second definition you would see is we look at it as plural, as though it were individual values. So statistics with the S are the actual numerical descriptions of sample data, the actual numbers that we calculate, things like the average or a percentage, perhaps the one that occurs the most or the one that occurs the least. Those would be statistics. And again, we focus on the fact that they are individual items, which makes it plural when you add the S. So you say statistics are. So at least initially, I want us to focus on the first definition, where we're thinking about it as a broad picture, the overarching theme, because there are actually 2 branches of statistics. That idea of gathering, analyzing, and describing data. There are 2 branches or 2 areas. Okay, and I want to go out to a piece of paper and I want to try to draw a picture for you, because I want you to see this connection here. Okay, so I'm going to go out and kind of draw a picture. So let me tell it I want to draw. Okay, so again, if we think about statistics, and again, we're looking at the idea of is, there are 2 different branches. The first branch is called descriptive. Okay, which, if you'll notice, is the adjective form of the verb describe. So the area of descriptive statistics, which is on the PowerPoint, okay, you can still look at the PowerPoint, okay, descriptive statistics is the branch that most people are familiar with, because it's the area or the branch of statistics where we talk about the graphs and the tables and things like that. But it involves the collection, organization, summarization, and the presentation of the data. Again, we think about it. Uh-oh, I'm hung up. Yeah. Okay, hold on just a second. My computer every now and then hangs up and I have to exit out of the share screen. And then go back. And it's still not working. Hold on a minute. Okay. It likes to act up every now and then. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like this. So the descriptive statistics, again, is where we think about creating those pretty tables, graphs, numerical summaries, and it's just the facts. Okay, we're stating just the facts. So let me go back over here to my paper. So again, we're describing. So again, we want, when we think about descriptive statistics, we want just the facts. And again, this is the branch that allows me to create the pretty graphs and tables that most people associate with statistics. And again, it's the branch that most people are familiar with. And the facts can be anything from, you know, how many are enrolled in the class, how many are present, how many are female, how many are males, how many are health profession majors, how many are psychology majors. So you have a variety of facts that you can describe. But one of the deals with descriptive statistics, we are making no assumptions. Okay, you are stating just facts. And I point that out because the other branch of statistics is called inferential, which is the adjective form of a verb, infer. Infer is kind of a fancy word that means we want to begin to make a generalized statement about the data. So with inferential statistics, we do begin to make assumptions. This is where we take what we learn about a small group and apply it to the whole group. So this becomes more of an apply or an interpret. What do those numbers tell us? How does that help us? And those decisions. So really, even though they're considered two different branches, you need the descriptive in order to do the inferential. Okay, I need the facts. I need the basic information about the data, but then I take that information and I want to begin to interpret it and apply it. And that interpretation can be different from researcher to researcher. And so you need one to do the other. So although it is considered two different branches of statistics, okay, we need both. So by the end of module 1, at least 3 of the things that you need to be able to do are to demonstrate the knowledge, a basic knowledge of the vocabulary of statistics so that you and I can communicate. You'll know, what does she mean when she says, what is the variable? What is the population? What is the parameter? Be able to classify your data and determine the level of measurement on the data, and also to determine your sampling technique and identify what sampling technique is being used, because again, that is an important part of the research. So throughout module 1, again, our focus is going to be pretty much on learning the vocabulary. Now, I will say, in terms of the way the information is presented on your practice problems, on the homework quizzes, on the test, It is more of an application. I'm not going to ask you to recite what is a variable or recite or define population or parameter, but you have to know what those words mean in order to answer the question. And we're going to look at some examples of those, of what your homework, test questions, and sort of things look like in the next lesson. But I have 10:37 on the clock on my computer. So let's take a short break till about 10:45. You can step away, go to the restroom, get a drink of water, get a snack, whatever you need, and we'll resume at 10. I got 10:38 now, so about 7 minutes at 10:45. You can stay in the Zoom room. You can just leave yourself muted or whatever.